Mike Johnson, team manager of Stevenson Motorsports, where we run one car in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge and one car in the Rolex Series. This here is our Camaro GS-R. It runs in the GS class of the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge. This car starts off pretty much exactly as a street car that you could buy from a Stevenson Chevrolet dealership in Swansboro, North Carolina. The car gets shipped to Bill Riley at Riley Technologies, where they install a complete roll cage and put in all the safety equipment. But as you can see, this is exactly like any street car that you would see on the street. It's got a racing seat, racing steering wheel, the roll cage, and then a lot of other things we do for safety. The rules also allow us to do a full suspension kit, so we can update our brakes, we can update our shocks, and we can add adjustable sway bars. In the back of the car, we have a fuel cell. This is obviously designed and built for racing, and then our fuel cell allows us to put the fuel in during our pit stop. When the fuel goes in one side and comes out the other, and fuel in and out to do about 18 gallons, 20 gallons is about 40 seconds. One of the main differences you'll see between this car and our GT car is this car starts out as a complete unibody, so it starts off as a street car. Everything on this car is from the street, except we are allowed some carbon fiber components like the deck lid, the doors, and the hood. But everything else is just the original plastics and everything else you'd see. And we're also not allowed to modify any of the exterior bodywork. So we're in the GT car, we can put our fuel probes right in the back of the car. In the GS, it has to look completely stock, so we have to open and shut this back door during our pit stops. You come around to the driver's side. You can see some of the driver cooling that we have available. The drivers have basically a helmet blower and air conditioning system that goes right to their helmet. Racing steering wheel, racing dash. We have the same exact transmission that you would find in a street Camaro. It's a 6-speed H pattern. And then we are allowed electronic data acquisition. We are not allowed any adjustable suspension in this car, unlike the GT car where you'll see more knobs and levers. And finally, if we go to the engine compartment, you'll see what is basically a stock LS3 engine. It's a 6.2 liter Chevy Camaro engine. It has been actually restricted a little bit for racing. Other than that, it's pretty much as close to bone stock as you can be, other than a wet sump oil system. And then you can also see our updated shocks. And if you look down at the wheels and tires, obviously everybody in the series has to run the Continental racing slicks. So that's our GS car. Let's take you over to the GT car. All right, now this is our Rolex GT series Camaro. And while it looks exactly like the last Camaro you saw, it's actually, everything is completely different. This car starts off as a full tube frame chassis, meaning that every single car, every little bit on the inside of this car is bit from steel tubes, welded together to make a nice cage around the driver. So everything in this car is completely custom. Every piece, every panel on the car is made out of carbon fiber. So it ends up weighing a couple 100 pounds lighter than the GS car. We still run Continental tires, we still have modified suspension. The other big thing you'll see on the GT car is it has a rear wing and it has a splitter on the front of the car, which gives it quite a bit of downforce. In the back, we actually fuel same way, but through this hole here in the back. The only thing that the two cars actually do have in common is this rear bumper is a plastic rear bumper that you would see on the GS car. This and the mirror is really the only two things we have in common. On the side, we have we're allowed to add ductwork that allow us to cool our brakes and cool our tires. And then if you get inside the driver compartment, you can see something, while it's very similar, is very different. Full racing seat. We have helmets, cooling systems, driver nets, but our steering wheel has got a lot more functionality, a lot more buttons. We have a 5-speed sequential gearbox. What that means is the drivers just keep their foot on the ground and they pull the lever like a motorcycle or like a video game to shift gears. And then we have 2 levers in there which control the anti-roll bars, which allows the drivers to kind of adjust the handling as they go around the track. Finally, up front, you'll see another LS3 engine, but this one is a lot higher, has a lot more modifications than in the GS car, making anywhere between 50 and 70 more horsepower. But you can see all tube frame chassis up here. There's nothing in here that is anything from the street. We're allowed in this series to run a tire pressure sensors, so we can monitor the tire pressures as they go out on the track, and it also lets the drivers know if we get a flat tire. And then finally around the front, you can see no headlights. It's all flush up front, which increases our downforce. And then this splitter down here increases downforce as well. Both cars run at about a 3.5-inch ride height. Both cars use Continental tires, and that's about where the comparisons leave.